Chosen ones, let me tell you something the world doesn't want to admit. You were never fighting against just one enemy. You were standing against groups, gangs, entire circles of people who gathered in secret to plot your downfall. They whispered lies, cast envy, even tried witchcraft, thinking their numbers gave them power. Yet, here you are, untouched, undefeated, stronger than ever. Do you know why? Because you were never alone. While they relied on spells, shadows, and conspiracies, you relied on Allah, and that turned you into a one-man army. Their fear of you isn't about your strength. It's about the unseen shield of divine protection that surrounds you. In this video, we're going to uncover 7 powerful lessons on why their plots failed, why you still stand, and why Allah chose you to walk through fire without being burned. Chosen ones, understand this truth deep in your soul. When Allah builds you, no group, no gang, no circle of haters, witches, or plotters can ever dismantle you. They can gather in secret, whispering in the darkness, joining forces with envy and malice, but their strength is nothing but an illusion in the face of Allah's decree. The Quran reminds us, and they planned, but Allah planned, and Allah is the best of planners. Quran 3:54. Every time they came together, thinking their numbers would crush you, they forgot that Allah is the one who raises and lowers, the one who gives strength and strips it away. You were never outnumbered, because with Allah on your side, you outweigh them all. You've seen it with your own eyes. Entire groups rise against you, only to collapse under the weight of their own schemes, while you walked forward untouched. That's because you are not standing on the fragile foundation of people's approval, but on the unshakable fortress of Allah's protection. And no gang in this world or beyond it has the power to break what He has chosen to build. Chosen ones, never forget that the greatest shield you carry is not wealth, not numbers, not even physical strength. It is the purity of your heart when it is anchored in La ilaha illa Allah. Witchcraft, sorcery, black magic, and evil spells are real, but their reality is weak when confronted by the light of Tawhid. The Quran itself acknowledges that people practiced magic in the time of Sulaiman, peace be upon him, and it spread to test humanity. But Allah made it clear. But they do not harm anyone through it except by permission of Allah. Quran 2:102. That means no matter how many knots they tie, no matter how many incantations they whisper, no matter how much hatred they pour into their rituals, it all collapses like dust when it faces the heart of a believer who lives by the oneness of Allah. Look at the story of Musa, peace be upon him. When the magicians of Pharaoh threw their ropes, they seemed to slither like snakes, dazzling the crowd with illusions. Fear spread in the people, but Allah told Musa, "Do not fear. Indeed, it is you who will be superior." Quran 20:68. With one strike of his staff, Musa exposed the falsehood, and the magicians immediately recognized the truth, falling in prostration. That is the power of Tawhid. Chosen ones, this is why their spells never worked on you. This is why their envy turned back upon them. Because your heart never bowed to their rituals, it bowed only to Allah. Tawhid is not just a statement of belief. It is a sword sharper than any blade, a shield stronger than any fortress. When you pray sincerely, when you place all trust in Allah, when you recite His words, Ayat al-Kursa, Surah al-Falaq, Surah an-Nas, the darkness they send toward you collides with an unbreakable wall of light. They thought their witchcraft would bind your destiny, but all it did was prove that your faith is untouchable. You became the living example that nothing, not even the darkest forms of magic, can stand against the one who is Al-Hayy Al-Qayyum, the ever-living, the sustainer of all existence. That is why witchcraft shatters against Tawhid, and why you, chosen one, stand undefeated while their spells return to burn them. Chosen ones, let this truth settle into your heart. A single servant of Allah, sincere in his worship and unwavering in his trust, is heavier in the scales of power than entire armies of oppressors. People look at numbers, they measure strength by how many stand on each side. But Allah looks at the sincerity of the heart, the purity of the soul, and the courage of the believer who bows only to him. This is why the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, stood alone in Makkah when the whole Quraysh plotted against him, and yet his mission triumphed until Islam spread across nations. This is why Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, stood against an entire community that worshipped idols, was thrown into a blazing fire by thousands, yet emerged untouched because Allah declared, "O fire, be coolness and safety upon Ibrahim." Quran 21:69. Do you see? One servant who relies on Allah is never truly alone, for the Lord of the heavens and the earth becomes his army. Chosen ones, this is your reality too. You were never backed by gangs, mobs, or influential groups. In fact, they often stood united against you, thinking their numbers gave them strength. But you carried something far greater. You carried dua, sabr, and tawakkul. You carried the remembrance of Allah, which outweighs the noise of 1,000 tongues. The Prophet, peace be upon him, told us, "A strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than a weak believer, though there is good in both." Your strength isn't measured by fists or crowds, but by how firmly your heart clings to Allah in the darkest of moments. That's why their unity collapsed and your solitude became your weapon. You were never meant to be ordinary. You were meant to be the one who proves that with Allah, even one person can silence 1,000 oppressors. And every time you stood tall while they scattered in fear, you became a walking reminder that true power is not in numbers, but in faith. Chosen ones, have you ever wondered why they keep watching you so closely? Why they whisper your name in rooms you've never entered? Why entire groups of people unite just to slander, envy, or try to bring you down? It is because deep down they are terrified of you. Not because of your size, not because of your wealth, not even because of your influence, but because of what you carry. The light of Iman, the shield of Tawhid, the favor of Allah. Their fear exposes the reality. You are not powerless, they are. They see in you something they cannot touch, something they cannot replicate, and something they cannot control. This is why they gossip, plot, and scheme against you. They don't hate you simply for who you are. They hate you for the reminder that you are proof Allah still chooses and protects his servants. Look at how Quraysh feared the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He was just one man, unarmed, without wealth or soldiers, yet their leaders trembled at his words, because truth itself is more terrifying to falsehood than any weapon. Look at Pharaoh when Musa, peace be upon him, stood before him, a shepherd with a staff, and yet Pharaoh's empire shook with fear at the very mention of Allah's name. Why? Because oppressors know their thrones are built on sand, and when a chosen one comes carrying divine truth, their illusion crumbles. That is exactly what's happening with you. They see you rising from storms that should have destroyed you, smiling after betrayals that should have broken you. praying with a heart that refuses to surrender, and it terrifies them. Chosen ones, their fear is the biggest proof of your strength. If you were ordinary, they wouldn't bother gathering against you. If you were powerless, they wouldn't waste sleepless nights trying to figure out how to silence you. Shaitan himself doesn't waste arrows on empty targets. He fears those whose faith threatens his kingdom of lies. And so he uses people, whispers, envy, and dark plots to try and shake you. But when those fail, their fear only grows. What they don't realize is that every attempt they make only increases your closeness to Allah. With every arrow they send, you respond with dua. With every trap they set, you rise with tawakkul. With every betrayal, you lean more on Allah. And that cycle terrifies them even more, because they see that the more they try to destroy you, the more Allah elevates you. Their fear reveals the ultimate truth. Power never belonged to them. It never belonged to gangs, witches, or oppressors. Power belongs to Allah alone. And when Allah chooses to place a portion of His strength upon a servant, no creation in the heavens or the earth can strip it away. Chosen ones, their trembling is not your weakness. It is your victory. Their obsession is not proof that you are cursed. It is proof that you are chosen. Their fear is not because you are ordinary. It is because you are extraordinary in the sight of Allah. Let their fear be your reminder. The one who stands with you is greater than all who stand against you. Chosen ones, understand this with absolute certainty. No spell, no curse, no knot tied in darkness, no evil incantation whispered under the moon has any real power over you unless Allah allows it. And if Allah has chosen you, if He has placed His hand of protection over you, then every attempt of sorcery collapses before it even reaches you. The Quran makes this truth crystal clear. But they do not harm anyone through it except by permission of Allah. Quran 2:102. This means every curse sent your way is intercepted at the gates of divine decree. If Allah does not permit it, it is powerless, like an arrow without a bow, like smoke that vanishes in the air. This is why you are still standing, chosen ones, while others who are targeted by these same forces may have fallen. Allah placed around you an unseen shield, angels who guard you by night and day, verses that you recite which form armor around your soul, and a heart anchored in Tawhid that no darkness can penetrate. Think about it. How many times did they try to bind your destiny? How many times did you feel strange heaviness, strange whispers, sudden obstacles, only for Allah to sweep them away like dust in the wind? Do you not see? That was divine protection at work. Look at the story of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when sorcery was attempted against him by Labid ibn al-Asam. Even though knots were tied and spells were cast, Allah revealed Surah Al-Falaq and Surah An-Nas, breaking every knot, dissolving every spell, and proving forever that the remembrance of Allah destroys all evil plots. That is why we still recite those chapters today, because they are shields, weapons, and light against every shadow. Chosen ones, this is your reality. They thought their magic would confuse you, but Allah gave you clarity. They thought their curses would chain you, but Allah broke those chains before they even touched you. They thought their envy would poison you, but Allah turned it into fuel for your elevation. You are not standing here by luck. You are standing here because divine protection is stronger than any spell. Every attempt against you became a testimony of Allah's promise. Indeed, Allah defends those who have believed. Quran 22:38. And every time you walk forward untouched, you prove to the world that light cannot be drowned by darkness, and the believer is never abandoned to the will of the wicked. So do not fear their rituals, their curses, their plots in the night. Fear only Allah, and you will find His shield covering you in every place, in every moment, in every breath. Their spells are weak, their envy is fragile, their hatred is hollow, but Allah's protection is eternal. That is why you survived what was meant to end you, and that is why your very existence is proof that divine protection is stronger than any spell. Chosen ones, this is one of the most powerful truths you must hold on to. No matter how many people gather against you, no matter how many voices unite in lies, no matter how many hands come together in envy and sorcery, their unity in evil will never, ever match your unity with Allah. Numbers mean nothing when their foundation is corruption. Their gatherings are fragile, built on hatred, jealousy, and greed. They may look powerful in the moment, they may appear to outnumber you, but in reality, they are like a house of cards. One small gust of divine will, and they collapse on themselves. But your unity with Allah is unshakable. Even when you are physically alone, you are never truly alone, because your Lord is with you. Remember His words. Indeed, Allah is with those who fear Him and those who are doers of good. Quran 16:128. If Allah is with you, what army could ever defeat you? Look to the stories of the prophets. Peace be upon them all. Nuh, peace be upon him, stood alone while his entire people mocked him for centuries. Yet his unity with Allah preserved him in the ark, while their false unity drowned in the flood. Abraham, peace be upon him, was cast into a fire by an entire community working together, but his unity with Allah turned the flames into coolness and safety. Musa, peace be upon him, was chased by Pharaoh's army, a massive force united to destroy him. But his unity with Allah split the sea in half and drowned Pharaoh in his arrogance. And our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, stood with only a handful of believers against the armies of Quraysh. Yet his unity with Allah brought victory at Badr, where 313 defeated over 1,000. These are not stories of the past. They are living reminders that truth outweighs falsehood, even if falsehood appears overwhelming. Chosen ones, your life carries the same echo. Entire groups may have united against you, friends turning into enemies, family whispering behind your back, communities throwing stones of doubt, even gangs of witches tying their knots together. They thought their numbers meant strength. But what they failed to understand is that Allah does not bless unity built upon evil. Their hearts are not truly together. Envy divides them, suspicion eats them from within, hatred blinds them, and greed corrupts them. Meanwhile, your unity with Allah is pure. Every sajda connects you to the throne of the Almighty. Every tear you shed in dua pulls His mercy closer to you. Every verse you recite strengthens the shield around you. This is why they fall apart and you rise stronger. Their unity may gather in the night, but it cannot stand against the light of a single believer who walks with Allah. You see, unity with Allah means every angel is with you. Every layer of divine protection surrounds you, and every step you take is guided by His decree. That is why, when they come together against you, they scatter in defeat. That is why their conspiracies always backfire, and their plans unravel in their own hands. You may look like one person, chosen ones, but in reality you are walking with the Lord of the heavens and the earth. And that is a power no evil gathering can ever match. So do not fear their numbers, and do not be deceived by their unity in hatred. Remember the words of Allah. If Allah helps you, none can overcome you. But if He forsakes you, who is there that can help you after Him? Quran 3:160. Chosen ones, your unity with Allah is eternal, while their unity in evil is temporary and weak. This is why you stand while they fall, why you shine while they burn, and why your destiny is secured while theirs is sealed in defeat. Chosen ones, pause and reflect on this reality. Your very existence, your survival, your rise from the ashes of what should have destroyed you, all of it is living proof that Allah defends His servants. You are not just a story of endurance. You are a sign, a reminder, a walking testimony of divine protection. Every arrow they aimed at you, every curse they whispered, every betrayal they plotted, every gang that gathered against you should have ended you. By logic, by numbers, by worldly power, you shouldn't have made it this far. And yet, here you are. Why? Because Allah Himself promised. Indeed, Allah defends those who have believed. Quran 22:38. You are the proof of that verse. You are the evidence that His words are not empty, but living truth manifested in the lives of His chosen ones. Think of all the nights you were surrounded by darkness, when you felt the weight of enemies you couldn't even see, when you sensed the heaviness of envy, when you tasted the loneliness of betrayal. And yet, even in those moments, something unseen carried you through. That something was not coincidence, not luck, not your own cleverness. It was Allah Himself guarding you with His decree, sending angels to protect you, and turning their weapons into lessons, their curses into fuel for your rise. They do not realize it, but every attempt they made against you became a canvas upon which Allah painted His defense of you. When they tried to humiliate you, He raised your honor. When they tried to starve you, He opened doors of provision from places you never expected. When they tried to isolate you, He drew you closer to Him. When they thought they had written your ending, He began a new chapter they could not touch. Look back at history and you'll see the same pattern. Yusuf, peace be upon him, was thrown into a well by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and imprisoned unjustly. Yet Allah defended him until he became a ruler who saved nations. Musa, peace be upon him, was a man hunted by Pharaoh's army, yet Allah split the sea for him and drowned his enemies. Muhammad, peace be upon him, was plotted against in Makkah, conspired against in Medina, surrounded at Badr, Ahzab, and Hunain. Yet each time, Allah defended him and elevated Islam. These prophets are the eternal signs, and you, chosen ones, are their echoes in today's world. You may not carry prophecy, but you carry their legacy, the legacy of being protected when no one else believes you'll survive. Chosen ones, your life itself preaches a sermon louder than your words. People look at you and wonder, how are you still here? How do you keep rising after so much opposition? And the only answer is this: because Allah defends His servants. They may not understand the du'as whispered in your sujood. They may not see the angels assigned to guard your steps. They may not feel the light of Quran filling your chest when you recite it in the night. But they see the outcome. They see that nothing can defeat you. And that outcome terrifies them because it means their spells, their envy, their lies, their plots, their numbers, none of it has power against the decree of Allah. So hold your head high, chosen ones. Every scar you carry is not a sign of defeat, but a medal of Allah's defense. Every survival story of yours is a verse come to life. Every time you walk away from destruction unharmed, you remind the world that Allah's promises are real. You don't need to argue with your enemies. You don't need to prove yourself with endless explanations. Your survival is the proof. Your rise is the evidence. Your existence is the testimony. You are the living reminder of the divine truth that no matter how much evil gathers, Allah defends His servants, and no one can overcome those He protects. Chosen ones, sometimes the greatest victory is not found in fighting back with weapons or arguments, but simply in surviving what was meant to destroy you. Think about it. Your enemies did not come against you lightly. They came as gangs. They gathered in groups. They whispered lies. They spread rumors. They even turned to witchcraft and dark practices, hoping that together they could crush you. They celebrated in secret, thinking their unity would be the end of you. But every morning you woke up again. Every day you kept moving forward. Every prayer you made brought you more protection, and every time you refused to give up, their hearts sank in fear. Why? Because your very survival became proof that their power was nothing in front of Allah. The Quran makes it clear, "Indeed, my servants, no authority will you have over them except those who follow you of the deviators." Quran 15:42. This means that shaitan, witchcraft, and gangs of oppressors cannot touch the servant who holds firm to Allah. That is exactly what you lived. They tried to curse you, but their curses bounced back. They tried to trap you, but Allah opened new doors for you. They tried to humiliate you, but Allah gave you honor. And the fact that you are still standing, still breathing, still walking with faith in your heart is the loudest message they could ever hear. Your survival is louder than any speech, stronger than any proof, because it shows that Allah Himself defended you. And chosen one, never forget, you didn't just survive for yourself. Allah allowed you to survive so that others could see through you the reality of His protection. Your life is a reminder that no matter how many gather against a believer, they cannot overcome the one who has Allah as his guardian. Your survival inspires those who are struggling. It gives hope to the broken. It proves to the weak that Allah is near. That is why your enemies are terrified, because your very existence is a sign that Allah raises His chosen servants, even when the world tries to bury them. Your survival is their greatest defeat, because it exposes the weakness of their power and the strength of your faith. Chosen ones, understand this. The greatest pain for your enemies is not that you fought back with weapons or words, but that you simply survived everything they threw at you. They formed gangs, united in darkness, whispered curses, and plotted night after night, believing their witchcraft and schemes would destroy you. Yet every morning you rose again, stronger, calmer, and closer to Allah. Your survival itself is the victory, because it proves their weapons are powerless and their magic is weak in the face of Tawhid. The Quran tells us, "Indeed, my servants, no authority will you have over them except those who follow you of the deviators." Quran 15:42. That is why they fear you. Because every breath you take, every prayer you make, every step you walk forward is a reminder to them that Allah's plan cannot be broken. They can't stand the fact that you're still here, because it means their spells shattered, their unity dissolved, and their hate was turned into dust. And that survival is not just for you. It is a sign for others. It is proof that Allah defends His servants, that the one who clings to Him can never be defeated, even if the world unites against them. You didn't just survive for yourself. You survived so that the world would know Allah's power. Chosen ones, never forget the fact that you stood firm while gangs of darkness crumbled is living proof that Allah's protection is unmatched. They came at you with numbers, spells, hatred, and schemes, yet here you are, still standing, still rising, still unshaken. Why? Because Allah is your guardian, and no hand can strike you without His permission. Let their fear remind you of your power, let their plots remind you of your purpose, and let your survival remind you that you are walking with the Lord of the worlds. Keep your heart firm in Tawhid, keep your soul anchored in prayer, and never doubt Allah will always defend His chosen ones. So if this message touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video, subscribe to Wisdom of the Prophets, and join this journey of truth, light, and guidance. Until next time, stay strong, stay steadfast, and never forget, Allah is with you, and that is enough.